Hello, everybody, and welcome to Black Book Joy. Today is March 3rd, and I am so excited to be here with you again to read a wonderful book that is going to teach us a lot. And so today we want to focus on dinosaurs and what dinosaurs are and what makes dinosaurs special to us today. Why do we need to even know about dinosaurs? So we're going to do that in a lot of different ways. But before we start, I want to get your memory going and I want you to think about what you know about dinosaurs. What do you know about fossils? Have you ever even used that word before? Dinosaurs and fossils. I bet you've used dinosaurs, but I don't know if you've talked about fossils much. Fossils are important as we learn about dinosaurs. And I've got a picture of a fossil and what it might look like if we found a fossil today. In this picture of a fossil, we can find out a couple of facts. We can learn some things about fossils. First of all, there was a huge dinosaur fossil found, the biggest one ever discovered, and it was in Argentina. Argentina. And it was found in Argentina almost 34 meters long. 34 meters. That's a long distance. That's a long length. Fossils are one of the things that tell us information about dinosaurs. We also know that fossils have been found everywhere, not just in Argentina, but on every continent and everywhere, even at the top of Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the entire world, had fossils found at the very top. A paleontologist is someone who studies fossils. Paleontologist is a scientist who studies fossils. And anyone can find fossils. It helps us know, anyone can do that. It helps us know what we're looking for. People who study fossils are called paleontologists. They do this as their job. Paleontologist. Paleontologist starts with a P. Paleontologist. We want to know how to spell paleontologist as well. Fossils aren't made from bone. Now that's important because when you look at this, you see all of the skeleton. And so we probably look and think, oh, it's all the bones of the dinosaur. But remember what we talked about, them being so big? So what happens is that fossils are made from rock, which is shaped exactly the same as the dinosaur that was originally there. So the rock is in the exact same shape as the dinosaur. The object is buried, the dinosaur is buried underneath the sediment, and then it gets squashed and turned into rock. Then water will go into the bones, which then turns it into rock before leaving behind all of the minerals that leave the shape of the fossil. So fossils themselves are not bones. Fossils are really the shape of a bone, and what happens over time as water gets in there and melts away the bone, and that becomes instead the shape of the fossil because minerals that are left behind create the shape. A lot of information, but that's what paleontologists do for a living. And paleontologists study all about dinosaurs, study all about fossils. And this morning, we're going to do some of that work too. We're going to have a project from our book, and our book today is from Mark Pett, Lizard from the Park. Lizard from the Park. So I want you to take a good look at our book. There's our cover, and there's the back of our book. This book is written by Mark Pett, and as I open up the cover, it's going to be all about our topic today, a dinosaur. I love the illustrations in our book, and hopefully you will too. Mark Pett, Lizard from the Park. Here we go. Like most days, Leonard walked home by himself. On this particular spring afternoon, he took a shortcut through the park. There's Leonard. He's going home through the park. When he got to the deepest, darkest part of the park, Leonard spotted something. It was an egg, and it was unlike any egg Leonard had ever seen before. It was an egg in the park, but not like he'd seen. Leonard put the egg in his backpack, zipped it up, and carried it home. Oh my goodness. He took it to his apartment, which was on the top floor of a very tall building. In his room, Leonard and the egg played together for the entire afternoon. I can tell he loved that egg because he played with it. Look at all the things he was doing. It looks like he's even bowling right here. That night, Leonard held the egg close as he fell asleep. That's how you know he really loved his egg. In the morning, Leonard noticed something. The egg began to jiggle and crack. Then a nose busted through the shell. It was a lizard. Leonard watched as the lizard busted through the rest of the shell. Then Leonard made a decision. He named the lizard Buster. Why do you think he named the lizard Buster? Remember what he did coming through that shell? He named the lizard Buzzard. He made a decision. Leonard couldn't wait to show his new friend the world outside. He and Buster spent the whole day exploring Leonard's favorite places in the city. In the weeks following, Leonard took Buster everywhere. They spent their mornings together, their afternoons together, and they spent their in-between times together. He loved Buster. As spring turned to summer, Leonard realized something. Not only did Buster keep growing and growing and growing, but he seemed to be enjoying himself less and less. You had a friend like that? You're doing all kind of things, and then all of a sudden they don't seem like they're having as much fun as you. Meanwhile, the bigger Buster got, the more Leonard had to disguise him so he would fit in among the big city crowds. Disguise him. Had to change the way he looked so that no one would notice Leonard the lizard. It soon became impossible. This is my favorite picture in the book. Can you see why it became impossible for Leonard to hide Buster in the city? So Leonard decided to keep Buster in his room. Buster didn't seem to like that either. Why Buster wouldn't like being in the room? Think about that. We've been inside for a long time because of COVID. I wonder why Buster didn't want to be in the room. After a while, Buster grew too big, even for Leonard's room. Leonard moved him to the roof, though he knew it was only a matter of time before Buster would outgrow that too. Wow, he's too big for the roof. Leonard found himself in a very difficult situation. Finally, he had an idea. He gathered every balloon he could find in the entire city. Red ones, shiny ones, balloons shaped like animals. Look at all the balloons. He filled his entire room with balloons. Uh-oh. I wonder what his decision, what his idea is this time. On the day of the big parade, noisy crowds gathered in the streets below, and Leonard heard music. Then he saw giant balloons. Soon the parade reached his building. Leonard and Buster joined in the parade. There they are. Leonard and Buster in the parade with the other balloons. When they reached the park, Leonard and Buster floated away from the parade and sat down gently near the deepest, darkest part of the park. I remember that deepest, darkest part at the beginning, where Buster joined his family. His family was at the park. Sometimes Leonard still cuts through the park on his way home. And there he is with his friends. Do you see the tree? And what's in the tree? The end. The end. Leonard had a book called Lizard from the Park. Our main character today was Leonard, but he sure did have a good friend in his lizard named Buster. And so we hope you've enjoyed this book because we learned about a giant lizard. Now, we called it a lizard because today, when we think about dinosaurs, we don't see real dinosaurs anymore in our neighborhoods and in our communities and in our state unless we see the dinosaur fossils, the dinosaur bones that we find in museums. Sometimes they found fossils, sometimes they found bones. But in our book, we learned that they call what looks like the great, 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 great grandchildren of dinosaurs lizards. So if we could go way back in time, lizards were like dinosaurs, except they were great big dinosaurs. Not the lizards that we think about today, but like the lizards that grew and outgrew Leonard's bedroom in our story. Lizard from the park. So think about Leonard, or think about Buster in our book, and then think about the fossil that I showed you earlier. And think about the shape of that dinosaur, and then think about the shape of Buster in our book, and how those two shapes are kind of similar. As Buster got bigger and bigger, we noticed that his shape began to look more and more like a great big dinosaur, maybe even one that a paleontologist would discover a fossil that resembles it. A fossil that resembles it. So we had a couple questions in our book. We thought about why did they name the dinosaur? Why did he name the dinosaur lizard Buster? Remember what that dinosaur did when it came out of the egg, and the page that said what it did. And then why did that dinosaur start feeling bad? And didn't want to really stay in the room anymore and outgrew the roof and didn't want to play as much. And I think when we read our story toward the end, it was because he really missed his family. He really missed his family. So even though he had a great friend and did lots of things with his friend, and his friend really took care of him, there's still no place like home. There's no place like home. And everybody enjoys spending time with people that are like them. People that have the same common interests and things that they like to do and not do in common. That's what kind of makes us a family. And so Leonard had a family, but Buster's family was still in the park when Buster was far away. So that's a thought about sometimes when we're with our friends and they sometimes seem sad or they don't seem like they want to play as much, it might be because they miss their family. They miss being with people that they have a lot in common with and that love them. It's not that they don't want to be with their friends, but sometimes you want to be with your family. I know I have a daughter away at school, and she tells me all the time, I miss you. I want to be with my family, even though she has all her friends. And that's kind of like what happened to Buster in our story. So we talked about fossils. We talked about being a paleontologist. We talked about where the biggest fossil was ever found in Argentina. Today, for our craft, we're actually going to do two things. First, we are going to create a dinosaur inside of an egg. And to do that, you're going to need two things. One is a blank sheet of paper. And two, you're going to need the cutout, the drawing of the dinosaur that was in your packet. So if you have those two things, then we're going to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to make a little Buster, just like in our book. So the first thing we learned about Buster was that he was inside of an egg. So the first thing we need to do is draw an egg. And how many of you know what shape an egg is? Is it a circle? A square? How about a diamond? No. A egg is shaped like an oval. And I like the word oval because it starts with that O. So I drew it very lightly because I'm going to cut it out. But there's my oval. Can you please cut out your oval shape of the egg? And when you cut yours out, I'm cutting out mine. I drew mine and I'm cutting around. I want to make sure that I get my oval cut out because my oval is the egg that my dinosaur is going to be in. And remember, our dinosaur busted out of the egg. And that was why his name was Buster. Uh-oh. I gave that away, but I bet you already guessed that. Did you already guess that his name was Buster because he busted out? I thought so. So here's my egg. It's in the shape of an oval. It's hard to stand up. Have you ever tried to stand up an egg at home? It's kind of hard to do it. And this egg is kind of hard to do it. But this is the egg that our dinosaur busted out of. Next, I have some dinosaur parts. It looks like I've got a dinosaur head, and I've got dinosaur legs, and I've got a dinosaur arm, and then it looks like I have a dinosaur scale or fin. We've got to look that up. I'm wondering if that's a scale or a fin. We usually think about fins with fish, but we've got to find out, is that a scale or a fin? Or what else do they call it on the back of a dinosaur? I bet somebody smart in my house right now is thinking about that. What do you call those humps on a dinosaur back? Somebody is going to be able to tell me what that's called. And while they're thinking about that, I'm going to cut out my dinosaur head first. Are you cutting out your dinosaur head? Now, usually you might want to color it first, but this week I just decided to do something different. You know, there's no such right or wrong about cutting out, except that you don't hurt anybody in the process. So you don't have to cut exactly or color before you cut. Some people do, some people don't. Head done. Now I'm going to cut out the leg. I'm using my big scissors. You probably have some good scissors at home too that you can use. There's even some words on it that just came with it, and I'm just going to cut that around that. It's okay, because when I color, nobody will pay attention to those words. They'll just look at my Buster picture. Leonard's best friend, Buster. I wonder how long it took Buster to grow up to be that big. They didn't tell us in our story. How long do you think it took for Buster to grow up to be that big? Do you think it was quick? Do you think it was like overnight, or did it take several days or weeks or years or months? There's a leg. I'm wondering if you know how long it took for Buster to grow from busting out of that shell to be as big as the dinosaur they found in Argentina. Remember, they found the world's largest fossil in Argentina, and it was 34 meters long. I wonder if somebody can find that out, can research that, see a picture of that. Show Auntie Michelle what that looks like. Oh, I got to call myself Auntie Michelle. I'm getting better and better at that. I got to go to Play Cousins last Friday and see so many kids myself. And some said it was Auntie Michelle. It was actually Kristen, but I'll let her call me that too. There's the arm. And one last part. Who remembers what that part is called? Ah, that's right. We were trying to find somebody in my house who could tell me what that part was. Is it a fin? Is it a scale? Is it a hump? We know it's sharp. We know it goes on the dinosaur's back usually. Now, Buster didn't have one of these, but we know that Buster is a caricature or a cartoon of an actual dinosaur. Because when we're younger, they don't want us to sometimes look at real dinosaurs because we might be scared. But we know that we can handle it on here. So I've got 4 parts of the dinosaur. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've got my egg. So the first thing I'm going to do with my dinosaur egg is I am going to glue my dinosaur on the back of it. Because when we look on this side, it's just going to look like an egg. But when we turn it on this side, it is actually going to look like the dinosaur Buster inside of it. So let's put our parts together. First, we're going to start with our head. And I'm going to glue my head down. Now, the only thing I know, because I don't know how the rest of the body will go yet, is that I'm going to probably put the head somewhere about here. Not too close to the edge, so I have room for the rest of the legs and the arms and the body. So I'm going to put some glue on the back. And I'm going to glue the head down. And I'm going to press it down a little bit, smooth it out. You know, sometimes when you use glue, how it becomes like real bubbly. And sometimes if you just smooth it out, it gets better. So his head is on. Now let's figure out where his leg might go, where his arm might go, where his thin body might go. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, that's an interesting dinosaur, but you know what? I think we're going to roll with it. That's an interesting looking dinosaur. All the pieces together make this, yes, a very interesting dinosaur. It's the body. So I think, okay, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, so first, we got the head up here. I'm going to put the leg down here. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do. Because I think the part that's really kind of missing is the body. And I don't know why the body's missing. It may be Auntie Michelle's fault. Probably is. But I know how to improvise. I know how to do something different so it'll show up anyway. All right, so I glued down the leg and we've got the head. Now a little bit of the head is sticking out, so I'm going to put some glue back there so it'll stay down. Stay down, head. You can say that to your head too. Stay down, head. Okay, so head is down. Leg is down. Now we've got one of the, I'm still waiting, a hook, a fin, whatever's on the back of dinosaurs. Let me ask Uncle Ed. Uncle Ed, do you have any idea what's on the back of dinosaurs?
The tail.
He said the tail. Could that be? No, dinosaurs have long tails, don't they? I think this is like, it's not horn, because we think a horn on your head. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. But I think it goes back there. And we're gonna try it. And that's the wonderful thing about being creative. And we've got a arm. And that's the wonderful thing about being creative too. So I'm gonna glue down the arm and then I'm gonna glue down that piece that's on the back, and somebody's gonna call me and say, I know what the piece is because I want to be a paleontologist when I grow up. And Auntie Michelle, you could have figured that out all on your own. And I'm gonna say, I could have, but I was waiting for somebody smart as you to tell me what it is. Okay, so now here we go. I got that piece on the back, and I got the leg, and I got the arm. And so now all of my pieces are down, and I want you to see what I'm missing. Okay, so I've got my head, and I've got my arm, and I've got the piece on the back, and I've got my leg that has some words on it. So what am I missing? If you said the body, you're exactly right. Guess what I get to do? I get to draw the body any way I want. And that's because I'm creative. And that's because I'm brilliant. And that's because I can use any color that I want. Do you remember what color Buster was? Yeah, I think Buster was blue. No, he was green blue. Was he green blue? Let's look back in our story. He was green blue. Yes, he was green. Look, there he is. Look, he's got on cool sunglasses. He even got on a shirt. He's green though. All right, so I'm going to make mine purple. Why? Because purple is my favorite color. And I'm going to draw a belly that attaches to the leg. And, oh yeah. And there's my body. Oh, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look like, perfect because nobody's perfect. And now I'm going to color in my dinosaur to be purple and perfect for me. And while I'm doing that, I hope you're at home doing the same thing, thinking about what you are going to name your dinosaur. Now remember, Leonard named his dinosaur Buster because he busted out of the egg. Now that's what I say. The book didn't tell us that. So we had to infer that that's what we were doing. We had to infer. We had to use our mind, use the evidence from the book to infer, to guess, make a smart guess about what we think the reason was. So we were inferring that because he busted out, he named him Buster. And so you want to be thinking about, what do you want to name yours? Now yours is on the other side of an egg as well, just like Buster was. Oh, I'm coloring. I love to color. It is so relaxing, isn't it? It's like self-care. Everybody needs to take care of self. Usually I don't make noise when I color, but because I'm talking to you guys and I want to do it at the same time as you, I'm talking. I bet you're probably talking over me. Somebody else in the house with you, you're probably talking to them, and then you kind of stop and you listen to me, and then you go back. And that's what everybody does. And so, oh boy, it's coming. It's coming. I love this story, by the way. I love our Black Book Joy stories. They always have such neat books, and the characters I like because they usually look like me and you. And that's important when we read stories. Remember how Buster wanted to be by his family? That's what made him feel good. And remember how we talked about being together with people with common interests? That it's important that we get to know new people and we learn about new people. But it's also important that we get to spend time and that we see people that have a lot in common with us, that look like us. And so I think that's the whole reason we have Black Book Joy, because we want to make sure we see lots of good pictures of us. And we know that all of us do wonderful things. We are brilliant Black people. And so we want to make sure that we see lots of pictures of us and we stay brilliant. I think I use, in one place, I think I use too much glue, but I don't think you'll notice. And then, okay, so I'm finished coloring. And now I'm going to outline mine just because I want to. And I have this color, which is blue-green. And why am I using blue-green when I made in purple? Because I like it. That's it. No other reason whatsoever except I like it. And I'm going to trace all around it. Why? Because I want to. Why are you going to do it? Because you want to. Because it's your picture. And you can make it any way you want to. Inside of the egg. I'm going round and round. Oh, yeah. This is going to be good, you guys. Oh, this is going to be good. It's going to be so cool. And now I just need to start thinking about a name for my dinosaur. These dinosaurs have some teeth too. Ah, there we go. That part kind of. Okay, there we go. There's my dinosaur. And there's my egg. And one thing I'm going to do to my egg to show that there's something maybe on the other side is I'm maybe going to draw a crack in my egg. There's a little crack. And I think I'm going to mimic that on the other side. Copy that on the other side. And then just to tease a little bit, so if somebody looks inside my crack, what the crack in the egg, what color would they find? Purple, because my dinosaur is purple. So where there's purple, the people are going to say, why she put purple in the middle of that like crack in the egg? Because there's a dinosaur inside of there. And over time, if that dinosaur leaves and passes away and dies, then it becomes a fossil. And we learned about fossils earlier. And we learned about dinosaur eggs. And we learned about Buster. And we drew a dinosaur. And we still haven't found out that part of the dinosaur that you guys are going to tell me what it is, the real name. I need you to be a paleontologist when you get off of here today and find out what are those things on the back of the dinosaur called. You know, those big humps that sometimes we see. Like, you know, I don't know what they are. And well, you'll figure it out and you'll call me and tell me. You'll let Auntie Michelle know next time we're together. Today we read Lizard from the Park. Lizard from the Park, all about Leonard and his friend Buster. I hope that you have loved our story time today. I hope that you have loved doing your craft. And if you're not finished, take as much time you need to get everything done in your craft so that you can continue to learn about fossils and about dinosaurs, about Argentina, about 34 meters long, about everything you can, because you are brilliant, you are beautiful, and you are exactly what you were designed to be. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.